The truth is revealed. Welcome back to Writer's Theory. I'm James Winterthorne, and I am sharing day 71 of my novel writing project. Yesterday, we left off with my main character, Cole Mercer, in the throes of a dangerous supernatural event in which he is confronting the antagonist at gunpoint. And I mentioned yesterday that that this was a scene that I was very much looking forward to writing, and I'm worried. I mean, just like with anything that you write, especially when you get to the end, I wonder if what I want is coming across in the story, if it meets expectations of the reader, if it's just good, if you just like it. It's funny the things you think when you're writing a story and you get to the end and you wonder how it's going to be received. Of course, that didn't play too much of a factor as I was writing it. You can't let those thoughts get into your mind when you're writing something, because if you do, like, you're just never going to produce anything. It's just really hard if you're constantly worried about how your work's going to be received. So I did just write it out. Super curious how you guys think this goes down. We're still in a very intense moment in the story, and I'm very excited to share the first part of day 71 with you. And so I wanted to be clear that he's obviously not talking to Shaw, and we don't really know what this thing is that he's talking to. But Cole is so wrapped up in this moment that we really don't know what his actions are going to be here. But I still want to keep this just dark and scary. Yeah, the dancing shadows was... you guys will have to let me know what you think about that. Because I needed to reconcile some of the things that Cole was experiencing. And that's part of this experience here is what... is the reconciliation. So I'm doing a little research here as by the pause in the writing. And so this, I hope this isn't too transparent. I hope this is okay. So you'll have to let me know what you think about Cole's response to what Shaw said there. Because I like it. I just don't know how it's going to land. So we switched back to Patrick. Because I needed to go back to an objective point of view here. And I fuss with I overlap the time just a little bit, just so we know where we're at with the point of view changes. So that's a deliberate tactic on my part to overlap them a little bit, just so it's clear, like, oh, we're back with Patrick. Not like the time hasn't elapsed, so we're not missing anything from point of views or anything like that. So I like to overlap just a little bit, so you can see the markers being the dialogue that's being read. So Cole says one thing. As some more events happen, I switch point of views. We get a little exposition or a little description from a new character, and then we see that same line of dialogue. That's me overlapping the timeline there, just so it's clear when events are happening. But here I'm really focused on getting my theme through, and I'm using all the literary devices here. So I have some allusion, I have description, I have dialogue, I have a little exposition happening. Like, it's all just culminating here in this little cauldron of a scene. So let's get on with the rest of it, and let's see what happens. This is the final push here. So I've been reserving Triton for this scene, and I think I definitely knew I wanted him to play this role in this moment. So I couldn't have him be the bad guy that Garrett is. So he can be a voice of reason in this moment. And so I have Triton kind of taking control of these events happening here. And I may have to do more with Triton earlier in the story, because I think we really only see him in the very beginning and then in chapter 5, and then otherwise he's really just referenced. And way back in chapter 1, we saw that he's a talker. And so, of course, he's going to give a little, he's going to tell a little story here. And this, like, I might have to set this up a little more earlier in the story. What's happening in this moment. And so this is the revelation of the package that Mercer has been both bringing to Colorado and hiding from these men until this time. And I probably, so you saw that I wrote a little more there than I usually did in some days. That it was a combination of, like, had some good momentum behind the writing that day, and I wanted to get to a certain point, and I wanted that day's writing to end with, like, a what just happened moment. So I basically, like I say, I had been waiting for this scene for the entire story, pretty much, like certainly about 80% of it. I'm glad with how it went. Like, the way this scene is developing is very close to what I envisioned. But I will have to go back and do a little more foreshadowing earlier in the story, just because I didn't know exactly how this would go down when I wrote those parts where foreshadowing would have been appropriate. But let me know what you think so far. Let me know what you think about Mercer's interaction with Shaw. Very curious about that. So let's do today's line of the day. Flashes of the boy came through the fiery vibrations. Beside him were shadows or silhouettes of morphing animals. So I pulled this line out because this is, I wanted there to be this chaos happening within Mercer that have been represented previously by the good interactions that he has with the horse, and these scary, uncertain interactions that he has with the coyote. And I wanted to have a moment where those were intermingled or confused. And I wasn't sure I was going to do that, so I just did it. And this is how I made that happen. Was he sees the innocence of the child, and then he sees this, like, almost angel devil thing happening with the two animals, and they're all confused. And I wanted to have that moment, and then this line represents that the best. So that was day 71. Pretty big scene. We're still carrying on with it. We will see what happens with Triton just discharging his firearm. Sneaky on my part to withhold that information for a day. So thanks for bearing with me. But tomorrow we'll pick up right where we left off, and we'll see where that gunshot was aimed. So if you want to see what happens tomorrow, please like and subscribe, ring the bell, and you'll be notified. And I will share the events with you then. Thanks for bearing with me.